You still having a hard time connecting?
Nope. It is live. Yeah,
All
cool.
right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's perfect.
Figure it out.
We made it at 7. So
Yeah.
let a little bit of this play. This song is I Can't Breathe by GTPI Music.
Beautiful song.
Yeah, this is one of
It's
my
a,
favorite songs, man.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll get a chance to talk about the week. The week has been crazy, so I'm pretty
Oh,
excited
yeah.
about this week is much better than last week. So, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. To the song's point, it's important to take time to breathe.
Oh,
You know,
girl,
because
I'm talking about you. Yes, that ain't right on time. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
yeah, with all the work responsibilities,
Hmm.
sometimes it's easy to forget to just breathe.
Man,
Take time to breathe.
you better say it.
Uh,
So the title of the song is "Can't Breathe" by Compass and Pockets, or GTPI is the music group. So.
here we go. Nice. Yeah. Now, in another side, I was really grateful for the support system that I have. I knew family, friends that we just recently connected with.
Yeah.
So today's meeting, what was resonating for me is recognizing that sometimes I have to take the time and just breathe,
Oh yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, uh, unpack all the week stress, that comes with the work responsibilities.
You better say it.
That was really interesting, for them to observe that. But that's what
Definitely.
happened when you're around people who love you and care for you and, pay attention to your health and how you respond to things sometimes. So that
Indeed.
was amazing. Yeah.
Let me
That's
first
a
start
great
by
business meeting.
giving you a high five, cause you're in the hood and it's all good.
I'm in the hood. Yeah,
Yes.
I finally remember to keep my hood on.
There we go.
The
All right.
conversation
Well, let's
was
get the
good.
show kicked off here, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
right.
We want to welcome you to another great episode of Conversation Under the Hood. I am one of your hosts, the awesome Robert Helm,
Awesome.
and
Awesome.
the more awesome, the lady with all the awesome sauce,
Okay.
Dr.
Okay.
Lindy Wade Helm,
Under the hood.
under the
Hello.
hood.
Hello.
Oh, y'all know tonight is going to be exciting because she has no idea what I planned
Uh oh.
because I
Yeah.
was moving slow through the day.
Oh boy.
And
Okay.
before I jump into that, we were talking about briefly the week. So I want to give you a chance to do that because I do want to take a chance to share this
Yeah.
live before we jump into the great
Yeah.
surprise that I have.
Well, I can say work-wise, it was a very stressful week,
Hmm.
at work, and I didn't realize how much of that stress I'm carrying with me,
Right,
right?
right,
To the
yeah.
point where it's pollinating to other areas of life, business
Hmm.
discussion, and then I'm always in that mode, the work mode.
Hmm.
And so I'm grateful to have the friends and the support system that we have
Hmm.
now that say, hey, breathe.
Right.
Take time to breathe, self care,
Hmm.
mental health, and psychological safety space, all the things that we've talked about, are
Right.
very important
Right.
to be productive, not only in our careers, but, in life in general,
Hmm. Hmm.
So that was a great reminder for me, and I'm very grateful for that because, like I said, sometimes you just don't realize that until people around you are like, "Hey, let's
Shake it up a little
let's
bit.
shake it up a little bit. Let's
Yeah.
let's breathe,
Right.
and let's relax, and let's not be so, always on the what is it on alert,
Right. Right.
basically, and
Yeah.
sometimes just let life teach you.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
yeah,
think that song definitely resonates in a very similar way
yeah,
because you know the woes of the week, if you will.
yeah.
If you don't really take time to kind of, I guess, go through that process and let it out
Mm-hmm.
of you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Or breathe, as you said. Take that deep breath and
yeah,
let it out.
yeah.
Then yeah,
That kind of a
kind of
deep
renews you.
breath. Yeah, that touches your spinal cord.
Hmm.
Breathe all the way down, and yeah. So yeah, that was great.
So let's talk about the week in particular. Is there anything in the week that stood out to you as just something great that we could share with the audience, or something that you feel like we can get a good conversation going about because
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you a chance, and then I'm
Okay.
going. Yeah, it's nothing like that. It's just
Hey,
we were talking
I never
about,
know.
yeah, especially with me, um, just talking about the various topics that we could discuss or what
Mm-hmm.
have you, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
I figured since there wasn't anything really solid that we had. I mean, this is our first show.
Mm-hmm.
This is our first show, first year during Black History Month. You know,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I figured I see you as someone who is making history in a lot of ways, and I say that
Mm.
I'm not
Okay.
just polishing your horn, but I'm
Yeah.
just
No,
saying
I'm
seriously
trying to
because
follow.
well, PhD, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and your thesis, which you did a dissertation on, was significant, right?
Yeah.
Adding to the
Mhm.
body of a very important subject matter, right?
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
to
So
2013. So there's been a lot of
yes,
information.
yes, but
That was
that's a
current
body of work
information.
that
But yeah,
it's historical in its nature
yeah.
already, right?
Yeah, it
So
certainly was an opportunity, a great opportunity to
yeah,
be able to do that. Yes.
yeah. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason you are a mother of five wonderful children.
Five wonderful
Yeah,
children. Yes, I'm
and
grateful
they're
for that.
yep,
Yeah.
and they're paving their way respectfully. So
Yeah.
or respectively. Excuse me. I think that's the word. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that because here we are. We're doing this show, Conversations
Hmm.
in the Hood, which if technology remains for many years to come, these are things that we have opportunity to share, right?
Right. Right.
Things that could be life changing for other people that have been life changing for us. Um, and so anyway, I think it's a great opportunity for us to kind of write our own history and to be kind of you know
Yeah.
mindful of that as we going forward.
For
So
sure. Absolutely.
so all right. Well, what about our last show? Right, we had a couple
Yeah.
of interesting questions. We seemed like there was one question that we both thought was something we shared in common. We liked. We thought was funny about the previous show, right?
Yeah.
The the
Yeah.
the, the dinner plate or whatever that was. So,
Yeah.
was there anything else from last week that you want to reiterate before we start to tiptoe into the next?
No, other than it's important sometimes to take, a minute and
Hmm.
have fun instead of, being serious all
All
the
the time.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my message for today. Again, I was really grateful that our friends were able to join us for
Right.
our meeting today to talk about businesses and how we can create legacies for our own families, to identify all the opportunities that we have around us.
Hmm.
So amidst that meeting, I've realized that, yeah, I too needs to take a minute and breathe,
Right.
and remember that everything is not so corporate and it doesn't have to be rigid or does not have to be boxed into that corporate mentality.
Hmm.
So that, I may have not been able to express it then, but it's something that resonated really well, and I'm very grateful for
Right.
that feedback. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, as a lifelong learner, I'm always,
Hmm.
very receptive to all this feedback from everybody, especially our colleagues and our
Yeah.
friends and
Friends and
families.
family. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think. Well, our show is about business and family, so it's kind of like we live in the show in a
Yeah,
way, right?
yeah, yeah,
Especially after today. I mean, we've been already talking about ways that we can, as couples, right,
yeah.
somehow work together to work towards our goals, either collectively or individually.
Right, right.
And if I remember correctly, one of the points that we had discussed when the Caldwells were here
Yeah,
was kind of the impact that our relationship had on their relationship, right?
right.
As just like things that they could maybe either model after or not do so that they can avoid complications or something, what have
Oh
you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
they,
Take the good and leave the bad.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
According to what we perceive those to be. But
Mhm, mhm.
yeah, no, it's always good to be around, other people that are doing their best, right?
Mhm.
That are always striving for that, success or
Ah.
perfection.
Oh, check it out
So
here. We got us a couple of guest already. That's great.
Okay,
We have
awesome. Welcome,
Ntombi.
welcome.
Yep, Ntombi.
Oh,
Welcome.
hey, don't be
Yeah, hey, we
welcome.
looking forward to in
Conversing with you.
yeah,
Awesome.
conversing. Yeah. Well, y'all should take pretty interest here because we about to flip the switch over here in a moment. We also have Talia Daniels. So welcome,
Hey,
Talia.
sister.
Yep. We glad
Good
to
to
have
have
you.
you.
So,
You always
oh,
bring
hey,
funny,
look at that.
interesting points.
Brian Bickle, welcome, brother. Oh man, so glad
Welcome,
that
Brian.
everybody can join us. Um,
Awesome.
so yeah, so anyway, the week is something that you know.
Yeah,
Uh-oh, I think I can
went
hear a
really
little
fast.
feedback. Yep, there we go. I'm sorry, y'all. So,
Yeah. You really need to hire you a technician
hey, no,
so you can get into this
I'm working
without
my way
worrying
there.
about all this.
No,
That's
no.
what I did.
Hey, I'm enjoying it because it gives me a chance. Uh-oh,
Yeah, yeah.
we got Ryan in the house too. What's up, Mr. Caldwell?
Hey,
Yeah.
we were just talking about y'all. Y'all should have heard all this wonderful feedback we had about our meetings today.
Yes.
So,
Hey, I hope you can see because here come the
yeah.
comments now. I think. Let's see
Awesome,
here.
awesome.
Yep. Let me
Yeah.
scroll down. There we go. What's up, fam? What's up? And Tomby
What's
says
up?
always great to be here. So yes. All right.
Thank you for
So
joining.
hey, we got a few folks in here. So let's wrap up our synopsis of last week right quick. So it was what take time to
breathe.
breathe and
Yeah.
enjoy yourself. So
Yes.
here today we open the show with GTPI song "Breathe." How appropriate. You see how that all
Yeah,
So-
it just felt fun. And
Yeah.
that was like a biggest message for me today.
Yes.
You know, the fact that not everything has to be such, corporate, approach.
Right.
It's important to take time and breathe.
Yeah.
And take
Yeah.
care of your health.
Well, we
So
were
that's-
talking
yeah,
about
we were
that
just
the
talking
meeting.
about that.
Yep,
Yeah,
the meeting.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
work, having an opportunity to talk about business and talk about the future and
Yeah.
kind of, well, not just talk about it, but
Mhm.
literally start planning it out and putting together an agenda
Yes.
to get some things done. So
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm excited about. We don't want to take up the whole time going into that. I want to
Just
go
like
into
said.
this. So
What you
yes.
prepared. Okay.
So
All right.
I'm sure the audience
Woo.
is just waiting. So I'm looking forward. Let me put
I'm
this
a
somewhere
little
so
bit
I can
nervous.
see the comments. All right, and we are at 12 minutes, so we got plenty of time. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want you to. You need some water?
Yes, and I want to do something slightly different. I just
Uh-oh.
want to take a moment,
Okay.
just take a quiet moment to remember my great niece, great niece, I shall say, who passed away last year. Today is her birthday, and she will have been 8. So her parents are the most amazing giving people in the world. Often, they join us in the show, but given today's event, and I just want us to send them some love and comfort. Today has to be one of the most difficult day any parent can imagine.
Absolutely.
So I just want to take that moment of quietness to remember Nia, and also to send her parents and her siblings and everybody around her who loved and cherished her. If you have met this wonderful young baby, you will have been, impacted, the same way I am. She was such a light to behold, and her light will shine forever in our heart. So I just want to send that love and compassion and support and strength to her parents. So Ntombi, thank you for being here. I know this is a difficult day for you as well. But it was such a privilege to have her in our lives. I had an amazing opportunity. Now I understand the divine reason of why I went to the UK last year. It was to receive Nia as a gift of memory that will never go away, or the light that will never stop shining. So thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Yes. Well, we definitely want to take a moment and just appreciate that in the presence of that. So thank you for sharing that.
All right. Thank you.
Man. Okay. Well. Okay. Let's see here. So I want to first of all thank you for being the wonderful woman that you are.
Thank you.
And I know I have, let's see, what is this, 25 years. And I feel like I know you.
I feel like I'm getting set up for something.
You
Go ahead.
are, but
Okay,
it's good.
okay.
So
All
I feel
right.
like I know you, but I'm not sure that I know you. And over 25 years, things could change.
Okay.
Okay? So I want to take this time and ask a few questions, okay? Um, to help get to know you better. And I figured what a great time to get to know you because we were talking about you being, you writing history now, Dr. Helm, you know? And so I'm gonna.
I think you have some
I
comments
do.
before you get
I'm working my
you
way
get
to the
into that.
comments.
Yeah.
Yep. But I just want to
Okay.
make sure I get the thought out clearly that these questions is just provide you that opportunity to begin to write that history.
The chapter. Okay. The
Yes.
next chapter
Okay.
of our life.
So
Okay.
yes, we do have a comment here, and Tombi says, yeah, she had so much love for you, Auntie Lindy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, she's beautiful. I saw so many beautiful pictures of the
Oh,
family today. Yeah. It touched
yes.
my heart.
Out there in Facebook. So please
Hmm.
send your love and
Yeah,
support and strength to them. I think they have it out there in Facebook and TikTok.
yeah.
Um, and what a privilege. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, um, I don't know if you wanted to type a comment in there. You welcome.
Yeah, no, I have it. I've sent mine
Okay.
separately
Okay.
because I'm sorry, I'm not so present in social media.
Yeah. No, it's
It's
I'm
different.
just you never know if they watch it or if you come back to
Right,
it. So again, this is just the idea of the historical value, right?
right,
So,
right.
um, but shall we?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Let's begin.
So what I did to prepare for today
Yeah.
is I consulted my wonderful QVC problem solving tool because I had a problem and I wasn't
Okay.
sure what I could do to solve it, in such a short amount of time. I was like, man, we had the meeting today and I was working on the website, building a website and all of these things. And I'm like, man, I don't have time. I'm running out of time.
Mhm.
What can I do? And so the problem solving tool told me that what could be great and really interesting would
Okay.
be if I asked it to provide me with 20 interesting questions.
Oh, 20.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But so this is how I asked the question. I said, could you please provide me with 20 interesting questions to ask an intelligent woman? So,
Okay.
okay, I'm setting you up for all of this because, boy, you're going to have to
I
come
can
through.
see it already.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
remember you said only 20 questions?
Yeah.
There's only 20 questions.
Intelligence is subjective.
Well, I'm going to give you an
So
opportunity to write that
okay.
definition.
Okay. All
So,
right.
so before we get started, you sure you don't want
We,
to?
we, we all are in our own way. I mean, in our realm of experience and
Yeah,
education. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
um,
So, okay, well, that being said, let me start with the first question. Don't be cheating. I see the
I'm not
mind wrong.
cheating. I just
Okay.
have no idea what you're going to ask
Yeah,
me, and
there
I'm
ain't
preparing
no.
myself for it.
Matter of
Okay.
fact, I'm not even going to go in order. I'm going to just pick one here. Let's see.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I like this one. Okay. So it says, and you're a reader, right? You have read many, many books. So this is a very appropriate question for you. It says, what book has had the most significant impact on your life and why?
Oh, wow. I can't really.
Pick
I
one.
don't have a. It's a combination. The first book I've read in the United States that kind of like when I first got here that opened my eyes to the American history, let's say, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or the interactions of human beings that were here, was by D. Brown, Bury My Heart in the Wounded Knee.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very, very amazing book. And then the second book, of course, I was about the father of the blood banks,
Mm-hmm.
Charles Drew. He was able to separate plasma from blood and storing it until needed,
Right.
which saved so many lives during World War II. Unfortunately, he died in an accident, and a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
So what was compelling, especially as a young kid, just trying to learn and everything like that, one thing that I'll never forget that still resonates today, the very technology that he invented, right,
Mm-hmm.
as a father of blood bank was denied to him. So
Imagine
this
that.
is somewhere in the South, I believe it was South Carolina, where he had a car accident and he couldn't go to the nearest hospital because he was an African American man. And during that time, it was like at the heart of segregation.
Mm-hmm.
So he was not treated at the nearby hospital, and he had to be driven so far to where they could treat African Americans patients. And unfortunately, he bled to death.
Wow.
And he died. So that was something that was, I'm not sure. It was very thought provoking, to say the least.
Okay.
But that was my intro to meaningful history.
Mm-hmm.
I love history because it predicts the attitudes of today or how we approach life today.
Mm-hmm.
So not in terms of like remembering what year, unless relevant to the fact.
Right.
But fact like who was the first president and what year and all of that, I don't get too much into that. But I take what shaped our lives, especially as the future unfold.
Mm.
So that's one. And then of course I read a lot of Maya Angelou. I read Inyela Vazant, the book Interiors. That's a very good book as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend that for many women, let alone women who have had, trial and tribulations. She has overcome a lot, and in that book called Interiors, she talks a lot about that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, of course, Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eye, that was another one that was a really good book. I mean, I can go on and on. So I don't have one specific book that I can pick,
Okay.
but I have so many books that
Nothing
are
that
very
resonates
good.
that had like that you can draw a line to that you feel like had a really significant impact on your life.
And another one was the book about decolonization, about dismantling what Willie Lynch. I forgot the title.
Yeah.
I have it upstairs, but that's a book that compels you to think and do self-assessment in terms of like how you respond to life in general, all 7 areas of life, whether it's religion, politics, academia, and so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of compels you to understand your own mindset and whose lenses are you using to judge life, to yourself and everything, and how you partake in those areas.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean,
all right.
books are amazing.
We got another guest here, Miss Tracy Nicole. Welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome, Tracy.
Yep. Hey, any comments, any questions, anything? We looking forward to your comments.
Yeah.
Please like, share, follow, and holla. Yeah.
And suggest books. There's, if anything about reading, what I like the most, you can always improve your vocabulary. After all, that's how I learned to speak English. I was a shy kid, so I always pretended to read so people don't bother me.
So maybe that's one then that you
Yeah.
can draw a line to is
Yeah.
in terms of the impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's pretty significant in your ability to communicate across.
What's
Cultures.
interesting about people who have learned to utilize the English language from reading, we speak like nerds, one. Where's Talia? In order to convey my point to you in a way that will resonate,
Mm-hmm.
here is what, something that English speaking people can say in few words,
Right.
10 words or less.
Right.
We managed to have a lot of words in there, but one thing, the biggest advantage is that in writing, we write much better than we speak, because certain things you've learned the rules of the grammar and what all that means. So that's the biggest advantage that I have, especially in academia.
Right.
I'm able to excel the way I do, because if you know how to read with comprehension and then how to articulate those thoughts in a written form, and in a way that anybody across, say a mother or anybody with no high school diploma all the way to people with PhD can understand, and then you've reached your goal, of communicating clearly.
Sure. So if you could think of one book that you would recommend to everybody, to anybody of all ages, let's just say,
Of all ages.
Man, all ages might be a stretch, but a book that you would say maybe young adults through matured adults.
I would say Powernomics. That book,
Dr. Claude Anderson.
Dr. Claude Anderson.
All right.
Yes, and it is very relevant to what we're talking about today.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I will certainly recommend that.
There you go. That's a great
Um,
that's a great series of
yes,
books actually.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I used to have another one that really helped me expedite my understanding anyway. I keep going back to American history.
Hmm.
Is I can't quite remember the title, but it has over 100 facts of the African Americans, contribution to science,
Hmm.
technology, and all these kind of inventions. A lot of things that I didn't know because again, it's February today, and here in America there is Black History Month. A lot to unpack why, and all of that. Why month out of the whole year, and is that really comprehensive history, or is it dissected? Why is it dissected, and who does it benefit? All of that,
Right.
right? But there is this little booklet that expedite my understanding of the great scientists and technologists and inventors in America. I think it's 100 facts of African American contributions.
Hmm.
To it's very very good.
That sounds
Yeah,
interesting. Wow.
in fact, it talks about how our first president, George Washington, almost could have been poisoned had it been a black woman. Her name
Oh
was
wow.
Sybil.
Uh-huh.
She was able to see what the French were doing. They poisoned his, I don't remember if it was green beans or whatever. So she warned him,
Hmm.
ahead of time. And so, yeah, I don't want to go too much into history, but
Yeah.
again, as a lifelong learner, I love understanding why, how we got here.
Hmm.
So history can be very informative.
Right.
And especially if you have the intellectual maturity to digest that information
Hmm.
without being emotional or looking for some validation or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
Learning history in its truest form, which
Hmm.
that's debatable,
Hmm.
because a lot of our history, particularly in Africa, it was a colonized continent except for Ethiopia. The authors of this history, they also have their own agenda. So while I might think I'm so learned and educated, I also have to understand that sometimes you have to research the researcher.
Hmm.
You have to come from the inquisitive mind at all the time. You can never know enough.
Right.
That's the point.
Okay.
So okay, enough of this nerdy stuff. Ask me something
No,
more
no, no,
interesting.
no.
You
You, hey,
you got
you,
people
yeah.
probably thinking I'm the biggest nerd
No,
ever,
no,
but
no.
I
That
know
was
how to have fun every now and then.
yes, but that's good. That's it's good. It's relevant
Yeah.
information because I got another one here.
Mm-hmm.
And this just so happens it's Black History Month, so this is the perfect time for you
Ah,
to, if you're going to talk history and you're going to indulge, it's the perfect time to do it.
yeah.
So, especially in the context. So the second question here. So very quick, let me just recap on one because the Bury My Heart on Wounded Knee was one book.
Yeah, that was my
That
first book.
Yep,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
Powernomics,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what those, well, maybe not those two books in particularly, but what we
Yeah.
were talking about, one of the benefits of those books were helping you to speak English and helping you
Yeah.
to be a better writer at English.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So speaking, that's debatable too.
Well, I'm just saying better than
I
what you
get
were
it.
or what you could
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
cool. So the second question, um, if you could have dinner with any historical figure,
Oh wow.
yep,
Yeah.
who would it be and what would you discuss?
Hmm.
Think?
Wow. Uh, wow. I will say Petrus Lumumba.
Ah,
And unfortunately, as a South African, I know a lot of people were thinking, maybe Nelson Mandela, but I will say Petrus Lumumba,
okay.
whom his skull is still sitting in the jar, in British museums and so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
He had an amazing vision of uniting Africa as a continent. He had a deeper understanding of what the continent had to offer,
Mm-hmm.
from the riches of Africa to culture to everything else. And unfortunately, people of his caliber don't last long. So he was assassinated and tortured in the most heinous way, and his remains were put in the jar. They probably sitting in people's basements in Europe or somewhere in their museums. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, people like Petrus Lumumba, of course, Kwame Nkrumah, human beings who sacrificed
Mm-hmm.
all that they could have had, for the benefit of others. You
Okay.
know,
What would you want to discuss with them?
I will want to discuss that. What strategies, today that we could have employed to carry their vision forward.
That's awesome.
Right, their vision forward, because I feel like all of us, we want what's best,
Mm-hmm.
for everybody. We have our different way, our different approaches, and sometimes we work in silos instead of, coming together and really recognizing what benefits all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you become famous in the process or even acknowledged, even thanked or whatever. So I would like, what courage and how did they harness that courage
Mm-hmm.
to make the decisions that they've made that ultimately, cost their lives
Mm-hmm.
in such a way, that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Queen Zinga, she's known for not giving up her throne to the British colonizers.
Right.
She refuses, while other, male leaders at the time, they were quick to bow down, and she was just would not hear it because
Mm-hmm.
it was very significant for her to assert herself about what was hers,
Right.
what is symbolized and everything. So death is something that she wasn't scared of,
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
all right, see, there we go, there we go. So those are the people that, if anything, because I think one of my weaknesses is that I'm
Mm-hmm.
better with empathy. I don't think that's a bad quality,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't always assert myself like I need to.
Mm-hmm.
Assertiveness.
Okay.
Which, of course, that can be debatable. It
I,
really
I,
depends.
I'm gonna slide another question. This ain't one of the questions, but I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What would y'all eat?
But I'd love to have that courage of Kunzinga, where not even death, not even, um, of course, the process in a way that they unalived her.
Yeah.
I shouldn't use those words.
Yeah.
Knowing and seeing what was happening, she still had the courage,
Mm-hmm.
to assert herself, choose her peoples, choose the legacy, choose, the memory that she wanted to leave her people, the courage that we're talking about today.
Right.
So yes,
Absolutely.
I'd like to tap into that.
Yeah. What would y'all eat? Just out of curiosity. What meal would you select?
But now that our friends and family are back in our lives, I feel like I'm cheating because whatever I will pick to eat,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't be so I can just eat, but for the health and wellness, from my mind, body, and soul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not just to eat all this kind of, like, I will be questioning every ingredient now.
Right. Right.
Thank you, Cardwell's. Now
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm looking at my food now. I'm like, what is this stuff? I can't pronounce it, therefore I'm not eating it because I guess the importance of what your intake,
Mm-hmm.
your input is extremely important for your well-being
Absolutely.
and your
Okay.
future and your
Okay.
outlook in life altogether, especially mental health. It's all connected.
All right. We at 30, almost well, just
So
about
we will
33
eat a
minutes.
lot of fruits and vegetables
Good.
right from our backyard.
Okay. We're a little over halfway through the show.
Yeah.
All right. I got 18 more questions for you.
Whew.
So yeah, I'm gonna move through them. I want you to.
Any questions from our audience and everything?
Not
You're
yet.
turning
No,
me into a
no,
nerd. I'm
I'm
starting to
observing. I don't see
feel like
no,
I'm back in college
no,
or something.
I mean, we don't have no questions. It looks like we
Okay.
don't have any questions or
Ah,
comments.
y'all want to help a
So,
sister out? Okay,
on
cool.
deck.
I see how y'all
Yeah.
are. Okay.
So, all right. So, question 3. Let me see here. Do I want to answer this? This actually would be interesting.
I
Man.
saw somebody
What?
said
Hey,
something.
I think my QVC.
What questions?
Let's see. Our meals are definitely okay. This is Mr. Caldwell here. He
What's
says our meals are definitely important to our health and wellness. Hey, absolutely,
Yes.
man. You know what? And you're absolutely right. And I had the opportunity to enjoy some of those meals that you're talking about, and they definitely are delicious. They get the what we say, the juices flowing literally on me. 'Cause, well, my head
Juices
was sweating
flowing.
and everything.
Yeah, mental clarity, right? I
Mhm.
realized too, like even in my career, in my role, I always have to have that mental clarity,
Right.
and depending on what we consume and everything like that, it can sometimes get in our way,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Well, all right. So here's the third question says, How do you think technology will shape our lives in the next decade? And you being the assistant director for IT infrastructure, what more
Yeah.
appropriate question, man, to kind of get a vision? So share that if you don't mind.
Well, one biggest advantage is that now we're even at the age where any information you may want is right at the tip of your
Mm-hmm.
fingernails.
Your
Like it's
fingernails.
so accessible.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I like about technology because it kind of bridged that gap of the haves and the have nots
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to access to information.
Right.
So now we can talk about how important knowledge is, information is. I will also add that even most importantly is to apply that knowledge because you
Mm-hmm.
can have access to all this knowledge, but if you don't have the ability
Mm-hmm.
or you do not have adequate comprehension of whatever information you're digesting in order to apply it,
Right.
effectively, then it just become information, and I'm not sure how useful that can be. So
Right.
that's one biggest, advantage about technology because it's literally gonna just bridge that gap.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be so expensive to have access to certain type of knowledge,
Right.
and now it's like right there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, technology and exposure literally just have made our globe. It just made our globe or the awareness of each other and our perspective location in the globe
Mm-hmm.
that much more smaller. I
Absolutely.
think, if anything, I'm also seeing empathy towards other human beings, just being aware of what's going on in that other side of the world and everything with the current um, social media and technology. So I can go on and on, but the biggest disadvantage is that we will become completely reliant to technology to the point where everything that your body is designed to do that's also healthy for your body,
Mm-hmm.
we're no longer doing it. You're
Yeah,
right.
that's a
And we're
good
no
point.
longer thinking, we're no longer walking, because
Mm-hmm.
we're sitting down and living in this virtual world. So I'm a little bit concerned about, our health,
Okay.
as human beings. Like the village that I come in, I always talk about my auntie who just passed last year, and every time I talked to her, she couldn't wait,
Mm-hmm.
to pass because she lived her life here. We think she was more than 100 years old.
Hmm.
But every time I talked to her, she was like, "Oh, maybe now that I heard your voice, they will open the gates and let me in," meaning that maybe now
Right.
I can
Right.
die.
Right.
So
I
how
remember
did
that,
she
man.
live? Yeah,
Yeah.
you met her in
Yeah.
South Africa. She gave you her favorite chicken.
There
I'm
we
not
go with
gonna
that
tell. It
chicken
was a
story.
rooster. I'm not gonna tell that
Yeah,
story
yeah.
anymore.
Hey,
But
that's a few
she loved
episodes
you
ago. If
so
you want,
much.
yeah,
Yeah,
you want to see that one, you gotta go
yeah,
back to that one.
yeah. You even convinced her that you were gonna hunt because
Here
you
you
wanted to
go.
just move into her village. Okay, I'm gonna break that. But what I'm trying to say is she was in a rural area where there was no health care. The hospitals were so far away, and she literally was so healthy until the last year of her life because then she was so old that she couldn't walk anymore. She couldn't barely talk, everything, she was shaking every time she talked, walk. But the point I'm trying to make is that she lived for so long
Mm-hmm.
with no healthcare access like we have,
Right.
with no information about nutrition and everything else because she walked everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
She ate right off the soil.
Mm-hmm.
If she ate everything she planted,
Right.
in
Right.
her backyard.
Right.
The importance of having land, and I understand now why land is so important,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you start thinking about South Africa and the land politics.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have land, you don't grow your own food, and then you become dependent on, grocery stores, and you're in the mercy of how they handle whatever that,
Right.
the regulations and everything, and for everything that you intake. So I always think about my family in those rural areas and how healthy they were,
Mm-hmm.
and everything. Right? We didn't even have dentists,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody always, commenting about my teeth, for instance, or other Africans' teeth. Like, why is that?
Right.
And I realized that it's because we ate very healthy, and because we didn't have any choice. So it's not like we're like, oh, we're gonna eat healthy. We ate sugar canes from our backyard, mangoes, papayas. And
Right.
so when people say finish your food because children are starving in Africa, that's really bizarre. You know,
It is
because
indeed.
how can you be hungry? when you can feed at age 5, as long as you can walk, you know how to grab a mango and just eat right there. And then that kind of fresh food in this country is extremely expensive.
Hmm.
So again, the word poverty and being poor is also debatable.
So, indeed it is.
Okay.
Okay, we are now at the 40 minutes.
Okay. I'm trying to shorten my responses.
Yes,
I
yes,
can't help
yes.
it. I get
No,
passionate
no,
about
there's
this kind
nothing
of
wrong with that.
questions.
I enjoy learning more and more, but I just know
Yeah.
now that I can't put the number of questions I'm gonna ask you. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna ask you some questions because then
Okay.
that way I ain't have no obligation there.
All right. All
So
right.
anyway, that was great. So number 4 it says, what is a cause you are passionate about, and how do you contribute to it?
Anything impactful to children, you know. So anything,
Okay.
and the reason for that, I feel children have, they don't get a choice,
Hmm.
right? To say, hey, I want to be born and join all of y'all in this world. So they don't have any choice. And they depend on us because as adults it's such a privilege, a great privilege to be trusted to bring a soul in this world, nature it, protect it, provide for it and all of that. And I think it's such an amazing opportunity. And so because of that, children most of the time um, they don't have protection, adult protection,
Hmm.
they often their voices, and I'm not saying everywhere, but let's just say for adults we make room for errors for each other, we understand each other, but sometimes we treat children as if just because they're small human beings, as if they don't have the same rights and privileges as adults give ourselves. So anything pertaining to children, whether it is terminal illnesses, that we're not thinking about because it might not be your child, it may be somebody else's child and we don't pay attention until it hits home, right? Certainly poverty, hunger. So I've seen when I was doing my study, I think that's where it resonated a lot, seeing children suffering when there's so much in this world.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? When we're stuck in accumulation instead of thinking about other human beings who really didn't have a choice and find themselves, depending on where you are born in the world
Mm.
and what social economic you know
Hmm.
socioeconomic group you belong to and so forth, and all of those things,
Yeah.
all of those things that we've created to widen the gap between the haves and the have nots, children end up suffering the most. So
Okay.
yes, children.
Yeah. So we have a great question from Ronald Caldwell here. So I'm gonna get just give me 1 second with that, because the second half of that question is, how do you contribute? So those you said those are the causes that you are passionate about. So what are
Yeah.
you doing today that is contributing to those?
Oh wow. Every now and then when I surf the net, sometimes I come across organization that find children that are like in a worse conditions. Either they have a terminal illness or they have some sort of disability, have been bullied, particularly in Africa.
Hmm.
Like we talked in a previous show, I tend to resonate to that, and my children do watch me. So,
Hmm.
for one of my Christmas gift, my daughter donated to this family with a young kid where they had disease, and her heart will accumulate so much liquid that it made her belly look very, very swollen. She was only 8 years old.
Hmm.
Um, so sometimes I find organizations like that. I'm not big at giving to organizations. I'd really like to work directly to
Right.
the families and the people. Uh, so I've done some of that when I was in Ethiopia. I was able to decide not to stay at Hilton Hotel, but to trust this family that I've met, and I rather pay them the fees that I was going to be paying at the hotel because a little bit went $1 compared to a beer, which is their currency,
Hmm.
went so far.
Right.
And I can't even begin to describe the feeling you get by just being able to help another human being just that little bit.
Hmm.
So Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. So, Mr. Caldwell says, speaking on the differences between diet in South Africa and the U.S., do you think the cultural education and awareness is key to our understanding and growth as a global community?
Without a question. Without a question. Absolutely. And Dr. all but that dissertation, because I can't talk. Dr. Caldwell also, she often emphasized the importance of, healthy eating,
Mm-hmm.
nutrition, not only just to nourish your body, but understand the healing properties
Right.
that are in everything that we inject. So knowing what to eat, like everybody was asking about what these cards are all about.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I open the oven to, when I'm baking something, I manage to burn the back of my hand. I happen to be at her house and she's like, "What is going on with that?" I'm like, "Believe me, I'm not self-harming. I'm just a poor cook. I can't cook."
Right.
No. And then she comes with her herb. I have it upstairs, and she just started applying it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you understand the
And
healing
it looks
properties,
better, actually.
it
It's
looks
starting to look
better.
better.
I know. I was thinking that
Yeah.
maybe it was me,
Yeah.
because I'm such a believer.
Yeah. Hey, no, that's good
But
though.
yeah, just knowing the healing properties and when to apply
Mm-hmm.
those healing properties, everything that's growing right on our earth, that does not require a lot of money, just a little bit of awareness.
Right.
So I'm really excited to have them in the show again, because I really would like to delve deeper in that, because
Mm-hmm.
we could have medicinal plants and herbs around us, let alone, other nutritious
Right.
food. But that's a long answer to you, Mr. Cardwell. Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about, information and the ability to comprehend, and then thereafter application.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Oh.
so we are very, very fortunate to have people like Dr. Cadwell here, the Cadwells basically,
Mm-hmm.
um, to share this information. I'm certainly learning a lot.
Yeah. No, I think it's man, it's just good. I think it's just one of those, it's giving us that, that opportunity to like
Yeah.
complete pathways, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, all
Absolutely.
right. That was a great question. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. All right, so question 5 here. It says, if you could master any skill instantly, what would it be and why?
Hmm. I will say wisdom.
Okay.
Because wisdom, I just feel like it's encompassing, right?
Mm-hmm.
To like if you're wise, you are able to make not just good decision, but long lasting decision. Yeah, I go again about making decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still at the work mode.
Right.
But in everything, all areas of our lives,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you are able to impact the ability to be intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to not only people around us, but in a way like when I leave this world,
Right.
right? How did I leave this world a little bit lighter, a little bit better
Mm-hmm.
than I found it? And I'm talking about um, in my participation,
Sure.
with my friends, family, or even stranger.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Just having the wisdom to know what to do, what to say, how to say it
Mm-hmm.
in a way that it will just leave a room a little bit lighter than you found it. Conversation, difficulties that people are experiencing. So that wisdom, and the wisdom also gave you the knowledge to do your material things that you accumulate. If
Right.
you're not wise, you're just clever, you live by chance.
Right.
If you're wise, you make long lasting impact.
Mm-hmm.
That's ageless basically. It's like that song
Mm-hmm.
that never ages.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yes.
Hmm. Interesting.
I don't know. Sorry, I'm answering from my heart.
No,
You
that's
know
good.
what I'm saying?
That's
So I
good.
hope that
That's
makes
good.
sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So let me see here, because we are, oh man, 48. Boy, let me run through here right quick. See, I should have maybe put these questions in the order that I would like to ask them instead
okay.
of just random. But let's see here.
All right.
So here, all right. This ought to be interesting. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Huh.
I feel like this question came up earlier or
A
something.
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
What advice will I give to my younger self? You know, I would have given.
I'm laughing. I'm sorry. I'm giggling over here.
Well, there's so many advices, and I'm trying to narrow
Pick
this.
one
Pick
and
one
make it short.
advice and make it short.
Yep.
Um, I don't want to be cliches because I want to say believe in yourself, but it's not as simple as that when you were a child like I was.
Oh, okay, let's go deep. Let's
So,
think. Think about your life. Think about your experience.
um,
Think about your career. Think about your
yeah,
relationship with me. Think
yeah,
about your relationship with other
just
people, with your kids, and then and like answer it from that perspective. Like if you could
okay.
say, I got one opportunity to go back into the past and save Lindy Way's life.
Save
Look,
Lindy's
no,
life.
I'm saying like
Yeah,
to think about it from that perspective. What and
okay.
you can only say it in one sentence.
In one sentence, that's a challenge. Okay, I will say believe that there is a profound purpose why you are in this world, why you were born.
Okay.
And every experience that you're having, particularly the negative experiences, are building you to be one day be a greater human being that you want to be. You are able
That you're
to
going to be.
that you're going to be,
Mhm.
but so much of wanting to be.
Mhm.
And because we have choices
Mhm.
to be a good human being. Sometimes you have to choose to be a good human being.
Right.
So yeah,
True.
within that one sentence, knowing that there is definitely a divine reason, and every experience, even when you're very young, can comprehend,
Mhm.
is that one to sharpen. It could be a survival skill,
Mhm.
it could be patience. It
Mhm.
could be also wisdom. It could be resilience. Like as much as I do everything that I do and I'm perceived the way I do, one thing that I know for sure about myself is that I'm extremely resilient.
Mhm.
The things that I've overcome in life and I continue to, I am able to put things in their own swim lanes and continue to survive,
Mhm.
and continue to live a meaningful life despite, you know,
Yeah.
what I may be experiencing.
Okay. That's a really
That
long
was not
sentence.
a long sentence. Yeah, I mean, that was not a short sentence, but
No, but that
some
was
things are
great.
just hard to.
No, I know. It's not. I don't even really mean to keep it to a sentence. I just
Yeah,
those kinds of questions that have yeah power in them. When you
uh,
answer those questions
yeah,
um, in ways that that are kind of straightforward, it just makes it especially
yeah.
before you start explaining. But all right,
Yeah.
so um, I got three questions. I mean, there's more questions here, but I just looked through here. I'm gonna pick these three questions because I think these three questions would be a great way for us to wrap up the show as we're closing down
Okay.
here. Okay,
All right.
so um, if you could witness any event in history,
Mhm.
which would you choose and why?
Wow. I would have chosen to be in Timbuktu.
Okay.
The university is there, the plethora
Mm-hmm.
of information and knowledge and everything that was destroyed during colonization because we didn't understand,
Mm-hmm.
what all that meant, but how all this, our ancestors were able to accumulate all that knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and created institutions
Mm-hmm.
and wanting the interest of studying psychology,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Uh, it was just, God, mathematics, algebra, everything that we can think of.
Mm-hmm.
That, I'm really fascinated. I wish I could be during that era and have the privilege to watch these great minds, create what we created. And we're talking about centuries later.
Right.
Now we're
Right.
just even beginning to dig all that information that has been suppressed,
Mm-hmm.
and let alone the information that has been destroyed.
Right.
Even with birth control,
Mm-hmm.
who knows?
Mm-hmm.
All these techniques now are being found in Kemet in Egypt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we were just talking about some of that today. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go back to the days of Kemet Timbuktu prior to colonizations in areas like that, where a lot of Greeks and Romans used to send their great mind to learn in Africa. You know, if I was in that area during that time, it's fascinating just thinking about that.
Awesome. Now, see, that's perfectly in alignment with this Black History Month theme. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm
I,
glad
I chose Timbuktu on purpose because to a lot of people that's just a funny word, a phrase to describe a mysterious place that could be so far away, but it actually is a real place
Right.
in Africa
Right.
where there was a lot of, learning institution.
Right.
A lot of great information that unfortunately we attribute to a lot of other people that really didn't discover or come up with any kind of those kind of philosophies
Sure.
like your Pythagorean theorems and so forth and so on.
Mhm.
But yeah, that would have been amazing times. So
Awesome. Okay, so Timbuktu. I like that. That it makes sense.
I almost say Alexandria, and then I remember that no, that's not the
Right.
right name. That was
Right.
there after. Erase the
course.
right name and put your name in.
Right.
You know,
Make it yours.
be glorified forever.
Gotcha.
So I had to go
Gotcha.
to Timbuktu, Kemet.
So it sounds like you're a problem solver. So,
don't know about that.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, here's a question for you. It says, how do you approach problem solving, right, in your
Yeah.
personal and professional life? So, if you had to pick a method that you use or a tool, because I am aware of some tools out there. This one I heard.
Yeah.
So
Over
anyway,
the tool.
so how do you approach problem solving in your personal and professional life?
I often vision the results that I want to achieve.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? For
you start with
whatever
the finish
problem.
line?
Yeah, I start with the finish line.
Okay.
And I think that's the awkwardness for me, right? I always, if I have a problem in front of me and I can vision how I want to resolve that, what kind of outcome I want, I overthink.
Right.
I have a tendency to overthink and want to align everything and want every detail, before I can solve. And sometimes there's just not enough time in the world, to do that. I find that I was doing something similar to that today too. Like I'm so grateful to be around people who actually know me and love me enough to say, yo, Doc, you're overthinking here. Come out. And be here, dream, be excited, have this passion for a while. So that things like that always, resonate. But yes, I vision the results that I want to achieve.
Okay.
And then from then start thinking about everything that I need to align to reach that, those results, to have those results. And then from there, I start looking at, do I have to do all of these things that I'm thinking, with people that I have around, can I tap in their knowledge and wisdom, so I don't have to recreate the wheel.
Right.
Like if I'm thinking about something that is kind of like technological, I can reach out to you, or my team. Anything to do with maybe health-wise, we have the Cadwells we can reach to. Even financial, like if I want to reach a certain financial goal, instead of sitting there and doing a lot of research and try to figure out, I can remember that, hey, we do have a friend and a colleague here who's been in the banking industry for so long. What can I do? I start aligning my resources together.
Yeah. Okay.
And then from there, almost to a point of a nerd, start lining up. And I'm not very flexible. That's where you and I differ a lot, because you connect the dots quick and you're ready to go. To me, I really have to see, and everything have to align, because I don't like regrets. I don't like, I should have done this way, I should have done that way.
You're right. I can attest to that being true.
Yeah.
And like for me, where I struggle with that is, and not in terms of you, but just in general, that approach to things is the time lost.
That's right. That's why I say there's not enough time in the world to do things the way I did. I think that's why academically I excel, because you are trained, to be like that.
Right.
And then common sense wise, you might have to spell 3 times for me. We were teasing about having the guts, right? And I was teasing like, you mean guts? Or you mean the courage? I knew it. Context of it, but it was just fun, to realize that my nerdy side, sometimes I can be quite literal about things.
And intentional.
Intentional.
I see. So, ladies and gentlemen that might be watching, who might know this lady right here,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why
funny.
she's a lifelong learner.
That's right.
She's constantly learning, listening, and growing.
Well, it's awesome to be in the presence of doctors, let me tell you, because I've worked in various types of industries that have given me the opportunity to work with all different types of professions, for all
Mm.
different levels of expertise um, and various skill sets. And I had kind of developed this view on some doctors because many of them that I met,
Yeah.
I had such high expectations for, and no disrespect,
And
man.
they never fail to disappoint, huh?
Well, I'm not even going to say that. I'm just
Yeah,
going to
no.
say that I just realized the complexity of life
Mm-hmm.
when your thought process is silo based.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because if you are limited to knowledge in just one area, unless that area is relevant to every aspect of life,
Mm-hmm.
they miss a lot of really
Right.
obvious, things sometimes.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's sometimes too deep thought can
yeah,
cause you that tunnel vision can cause you to miss things that are happening in your peripheral per se.
yeah,
So
yeah. I love the jokes around that. So, how many PhD it takes to change a light bulb?
oh man.
I don't know. I said maybe 15. But yeah, I do get it. You certainly cannot call yourself, well-rounded intelligence if you only astute to your area of research
Yeah.
or to whatever knowledge or materials that you are exposed to.
Hmm.
It's interesting because I perceive that to be a culture of IT.
Right.
You know, sometimes we have this culture to think that everybody else is not smart enough
Hmm.
because they cannot interact with technology the way we do.
Sure.
So you're right.
Well,
Not
so
just
the last
PhDs, but
question, the last question that I have
yeah,
for today, and we're close to being on time, but not. That's
yeah, yeah.
typical for us, though.
Okay.
But this one, I think, this is a good question to end on, because kind of a lot of the things that we've been talking about, I think, have kind of brought you to the success that you are experiencing currently, right, in your job. The approach to all of these different
Yeah.
things, basically. So
Yeah,
this
their
question,
life, I don't know, is success or whatever, but yeah, I can see how it can be perceived as such. Okay, go ahead.
I mess it up. There's
I'm
that
trying to
thinking. Yeah,
distract you from
yeah,
asking me that
yeah. No,
question,
this
but
is
go
it's an
ahead.
easy question. So it says, how do you define success, right?
Yeah.
And then what steps do you take to achieve it? And I think that's a great question to end on because one of the question, the fourth question that I had asked you, that what causes are you passionate about and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I had wrote a note there because something that I know you're passionate about, but somehow I don't know if you're shy about sharing it,
Okay.
but that program WIST, the Women in Skills
Oh,
Trades.
yeah,
You,
empowering.
yeah, that's something that I mean you've been doing it now for a few years.
Yeah,
It brings you a lot of satisfaction when I see you out there navigating the audience, talking to the young ladies, encouraging them. Whether you keynote
yeah,
speaker or you just work in the audience.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know, and when you started talking about kids, working with the kids and stuff, I know these are young ladies and they're not children,
yeah,
but to me, I
yeah,
kind of, from a level of maybe life experience or what have you, in
yeah,
certain ways, that's kind of
yeah.
how I view that audience. It's like this is a young generation, fresh minds that can be molded and, kind of like kids in a way, how I
Mm-hmm.
view children.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so anyway, I just
Yeah,
thought that
no,
would be relevant.
I'm certainly passionate again because as a female leader, um, I've heard this great speaker say that when we walk into those doors of success, we have to leave the door open,
Hmm.
so other women behind us, can walk in.
Right.
Because very, very often, when you find yourself in a place of leadership, as soon as you walk through that door, most of us do close that door behind us and we're not thinking.
Hmm.
Then we find ourselves regurgitating conversations of why there's a lack of female presence in these executive spaces.
Hmm.
But when you have to hold yourself accountable and do self assessment, you begin to understand your behavior
Hmm.
in that space. Are you inclusive? Are you leaving the door behind open? Are you making time to mentor other young developing leaders? And by mentoring, I don't mean just giving them material to read and say, call me if you have questions.
Mm-hmm.
You really take on this sincerely, and have a vision together with whoever you're mentoring, where do you want to be, and how can we work together to get you there, according to your goals, and what do I have in my possession, whether it's knowledge, contacts, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and areas, opportunities to help you get there. And just cause it was hard for me, I had to work hard. I also have to.
It don't have to be hard for the
It doesn't
mentor.
have to be hard, and this is where I think it's such a flawed way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people who had to work hard and had to suffer in a way along the way before they achieve their success, they feel like they can just give it to somebody, to whatever extent because they suffered it, and therefore
Right.
people need to suffer. I really, I can relate to that because I think that if you have whatever it is and it can help somebody,
Mm-hmm.
just help them,
Right.
give it to them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I always pray for, or I always, yearn for wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
because wisdom will guide you through around all the stuff that we're talking about,
Right.
And
Okay.
wisdom requires you to be well rounded in terms of how you think you understand information, in all sectors.
Very, very
Yeah.
good. Very good. All right. So if I understand you, then, so you define success basically as growth, right? So, and I'm just imagining in the context of how you work with other people,
Hmm.
right? I say mentoring, right? Because the question is how do you define success and what steps do you take to achieve it? So this could be, you could answer it from your own personal perspective, right?
Yeah.
Or how you view success, and then what are you really contributing to? And when I look at you and I think about all of the things that I'm aware of in the
Right.
context of you being a associate director, your approach to dealing with problems that you face with, whether they're on the job or personal, seems to be that same approach, right? Whatever it is, you hoping to grow out of it or help
Right.
someone grow from their situation into a better situation. And you doing that through some form of mentorship, whether it's pointing people to resources or you directly working with them and talking to them and encouraging them and basically laying out a pathway
Yeah.
for them to be able to succeed.
Right.
That's what kind of, I think, is that.
Yeah, no, it's I'm just reflecting here because you're making me think, and it can be painful at times.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm kidding. But the reason for that too is I don't think I had to wait till I was a leader, or to have this job that I have to be like. I think that's just who I am,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And how I was raised. I really don't see value in doing something that only benefits you, where you have to coexist with others.
Right.
So I find the most joy and success where you at a point where you can give without expecting anything in return.
Right.
Not even a
Right.
thank you,
Mm-hmm.
and where you give selflessly. And what I mean by that, I've learned that my giving has been so selfish, right? Because I'm giving to the people that I like,
Mm-hmm.
because I want them to keep me in their
Yeah.
uh,
And they're good books.
they are good
Yeah.
books and all of that, or enjoy, being praised and all of that. But when I was in Ethiopia, I found a great satisfaction just being to be able to help somebody that I may never even see again. And that feeling, I think, is true success. My health, my family's health, and to continue as 2025, and all of us. I have never been in a courthouse. I've never been challenged or faced with anything um, very difficult financially or healthy wise or anything. And of course, that's debatable. But I'm really grateful for that because to be interacting with our family friends here, the Caldwells, one thing that I often think about is that no matter how much I accumulate in the world, whether it's knowledge, wisdom, and everything else, if my health is compromised, all of that means nothing. So my health is also my success. So,
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that's a perfect way for us to close out tonight's show. Conversations Under the Hood. We thank you for joining
Yeah.
us.
Thank
We
you so
hope
much.
that you found some enjoyment from the conversation that we had tonight. We're gonna close it out again with a little bit more GTPI. I Can't Breathe. GTPI music, excuse me. I Can't Breathe. Well, actually, it's Can't Breathe.
Can't
Yeah,
breathe.
Can't
Yeah.
Breathe. And you
Take
can
time
find them
to
on
breathe.
YouTube. You can find them. Man, they all over the web. So check them out. Give them a spin. I'm sure you'll love it.
Yeah.
Hey, this is that time of the year. I mean, this is so in alignment with
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Thank you, everybody. Next time, hopefully, you can interact with us and save me from all these difficult questions.
Hey, well, I think it's pretty exciting because look, we went through all of these questions, and I think I made it to 5, and then those 3. So I still, man, what,
Yeah.
15 questions? No, not
So,
15.
so the
but
word sync comes to mind. I'm gonna work on that.
so next week,
It's yours.
That's what
It's
I said,
your
you do the
turn. I
same
can't
thing.
wait. This is
You
gonna
got
be
it.
interesting.
You got it. You got it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a great, great evening, and until next week, we out,
All right.
baby.
Thank you so much.
Man, Pasta. Boy, Compass, boy, them boys got it. I can't wait to introduce them to Jenny, man. They gonna love her.
Yeah.